Hello, everyone, and welcome back to That Sounds Risky. I'm your host, Sarah Emerson, coach, speaker, and founder of Sarah Emerson Coaching. This is the podcast where we explore the courageous decisions that shape our lives. Every guest has a story of stepping into the unknown and trusting the process while they're discovering that some of life's greatest rewards come from the other side of risk. Today's conversation is especially meaningful to me because my guest isn't just an incredible leader, musician, and author. He's also my dad. I've had the privilege of watching him live a life marked with faith, adventure, resilience, and a willingness to say yes when most people would have said no. His example has shaped so much of who I am and the way that I lead, and the risks I've been willing to take throughout my own life. For decades, Stan Endicott has inspired people around the world through his music, speaking, mentorship, writing, and leadership. He's the author of several different books, and he lives an incredible, significant life that impacts so many people time and time again. So, Dad, welcome to That Sounds Risky. I'm so glad to have you here.
And I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, of course. Thank you for saying yes. Actually, I don't know that you had a choice. I just kind of said, Dad, you're coming
True.
on this podcast. And so here you are. I just want to start at the beginning. For those that haven't had the privilege of meeting you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey and what has brought you to this space in your life and legacy so far.
I've heard recently that it's important to pause, so I'm pausing. Sir Ken Robinson from the UK, who passed away a few years ago, says that as we get older, we become less playful. And I think that, when you're, and Picasso says every person, every child is a natural born artist. So you can put Crayolas and paintbrushes and pencils, markers in the hands of a little kid, especially if there's 2 or 3 kids, because they get energy off each other. And if you ask them to paint a tree or an elephant or anything, a clown, or their picture of their grandpa, they're not going to hesitate. They're just going to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the older we get, the less we have, as we get older, we have less and less go for it. And I have found that people, as they get older, are too embarrassed to go for it and to try.
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, for me, growing up in a little village in southern Illinois with a railroad track running right through the center of town,
I remember that.
we could ride our bikes down that railroad track. We could make slingshots and shoot out street lights. And we could take our BB guns and shoot birds, and which probably isn't a good idea, but so when you get to be about 14 or 15, you start the very beginning of losing that. Sarah, your daughter, Lila, who's now 15,
Mm-hmm.
she's lost some of that already when she was a little girl. And then when you get to be 20, you're locked up. And from 20 to 50 is when people think that being playful is above them or below them. And so taking risks is all about being playful. And so I believe that getting people to be playful is uh, throughout their adult lives is one of the characteristics of living that is absolutely will bring amazing results. Most people, when they get older, they clam up and they go, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to draw a picture. I'm not going to paint. I'm not going to try to learn how to play the flute or a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and by the way, guitar players are like ice skaters. They don't get any better after they're 19.
Hmm. Why do you
Unless,
think so?
unless they discipline themselves and commit to what is called intentional practice. There's a book by Anders Ericsson called Peak, Peak.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about the 10,000 hour rule to be a virtuoso that Gladwell talks about. He said, the problem is most people they'll do 10,000 hours or more, but after 2,000 hours, the next 8,000, they just keep doing the same thing. You don't get better. So trying to improve and trying to stretch yourself and improve your skills is all about taking risks and being playful.
Yeah. And I totally agree with what you're saying. We see that obviously when kids are young, they just try anything. And as they grow up, we all start to question that, like, oh, should I really start this hobby? Should I really try that job? Should I really look into this career? One thing that you're seeing right now, even with Lila, you mentioned like she's not in the same place she was when she was in kindergarten. But one thing I appreciate about her right now is she's never played golf before, and she just decided last week she's like, I think I should maybe go out for the golf team, and because a couple friends were, and so she's still in a season where she's like, yeah, let's try it. Why not? Let's go for it. And that grittiness is still there, but you do see that grittiness dissipate over time. Our son Lincoln started playing guitar because of a hardship. He had injured himself and he started playing guitar and really working on that. And I see these hobbies that right now they have the time and energy and their parents help to help make it possible. But once you get out of that teenage years, like you were saying in peak, you hit that 19-year-old age. And how do you see that people are able to continue? Because people do get better. What do you see that are the disciplines that people put in place in order to prioritize that?
Well, one of the reasons that Lila's willing to try to start playing golf is because she was very playful as a little girl
Mm-hmm.
and to try things. The thing you don't want to ever put on your refrigerator for your kids is uh, remember, you can do anything you put your mind to. That's just not true. That's just not true. And you don't want to feed a child that stuff. You don't want to feed anybody that stuff. It's just not true. So what you want to do is to be open to experiencing and to try things you've never tried before. And oftentimes you want to do it by yourself because you're embarrassed to try it in front of other people. Now, Lila playing golf, she will learn more playing golf in the backyard by herself than going to Top Golf with 5 other girls.
Yeah.
You have a tendency to want to do that by yourself, but uh, having a a vision kind of a mentality about the future. One of the things I hate about GPS is that that's a road that everybody's going to go down. Just turn it off and stop at a gas station and ask somebody where it is. You cannot experience life by going down the same road everybody else goes down.
I totally agree. And then I also remember not too long ago when you decided you and I should try to get home without that. And we turned it off and
It was at a hotel. We were on a trip. I said, we're going to go someplace, but on the way back, we're going to turn GPS. If we had taken GPS, if we would have followed GPS, we'd been back in 12 or 13 minutes. I think we were going 40, 45 minutes.
Right. But it was an adventure. And we did.
Of course.
Yeah. We did learn a lot more.
And most people are absolutely too agendatized, and they want to accomplish things all the time. In order to take risks, you have to be willing to waste time.
Mm.
And by waste time, it's like, how do you have time to read a book? How do you have time to, to take a walk or to go on a hike? How do you have time? Most people think that a lot of the mundane things that we do, that we enjoy, are a waste of time, and most people don't make time for it. That's where you find the gold, is when you are researching and dreaming. And there's a great video by John Cleese of Monty Python about creativity. And he talks about there's a particular time in every day that you are more likely to be at your best. So but most people think that your best energy should be at getting things done. I think it's opposite. Your best energy is when you are researching and dreaming, and then when your energy is low and you're kind of on the boredom kind of a thing, that's when you can get
the to-do list.
The to-do list done. But use your best energy and time to research and to dream.
That's something that I can even say, knowing you my whole life. I've always seen, even in your busiest seasons, because I would always tell people growing up, they would say, where does your dad work? And I was like, I don't know. He has like 12 full-time jobs. I have no idea. Like where doesn't he work? Because your interests were always in multiple areas, and you were always going after things. You had the same 24 hours as everyone else did. You were very present dad. I never remember you missing any of our stuff. You made time for all of that, and you had time to dream. How is it that you were able to work in so many different industries? You're a music producer. You worked in churches and nonprofits. You led choirs. You did all of these amazing things. Obviously, have led large companies, and yet you still had the time to dream. How is it that you did that?
Our interests change over time. In order to keep your energy towards something, it's a very simple process. Chase the things that you are keenly interested in. I did a consulting job with a church in Northern California. They asked me to talk to their 30 staff, had about 30 people on their staff. And they said, we want you to talk to them after lunch. I said, what do you want me to talk to them about? And they said, we don't care, whatever you want. Okay. They introduced me. They had never heard of me, really. And I said, what are you guys keenly interested in? Long pause. And I just let the pause just slate.
Sit there. Yeah,
I
sit there
mean,
for a
it was
long time.
crickets. And pretty soon, somebody said, "Do you mean like at work or?" And I would not answer them. I just said, "What are you keenly interested in?" Crickets, long pause. And finally, this about 19-year-old kid raised his hand. And he said, "I would like to be a storm chaser." And everybody turned around and said, "What?" He said, "I've always wanted to do it." I said, "Well, I've got a buddy who's a pastor of a giant church in Oklahoma City. I can call him and you could go there, and in the tornado season, I
Yeah.
guarantee you could chase some tornadoes." But people never think that a crazy thought could ever become a reality. Another guy said, "I'm very interested in linguistics." And everybody turned around, and the executive director of that church told me that that one question caused more conversation among the staff than anything that ever been asked.
Wow.
But so stay collaborative. One of the things that I intentionally do is, first of all, I go to lunch with somebody, a new person every month that I've never met before. Anne Lamott, the great author, says people need to upgrade their friends. Friends are so wonderful, but you've got to have new ones in order to have new thoughts.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've learned to do is call 5 people. So at least every other day, call 2 or 3 people with no agenda. Hey,
Hmm.
I was thinking about this. What do you think of this? You continually ask people and check your thoughts. I'm thinking maybe about changing my career. What are you thinking about? You got to be in conversations.
Hmm.
Collaboration is I wouldn't even say it's a lost art. It's not an art typically. People are not willing, because somewhere in the Declaration of Independence it says that meetings are supposed to last an hour and 10 minutes.
Yep.
And people, and by the way, the other challenge is on Zoom, like what we're doing now,
Yeah.
there's no hallway talk. So trying to get people on Zoom to talk about, they got a new dog, uh, about their little boy that peed in the rocks behind their house, and uh, there's Zoom. You have to work real hard at
To do
getting
that. Yeah.
small talk, but I'm committed to that when I'm on Zoom calls. Be with people, have conversations, ask questions. Uh, I have about 250 questions that I have developed, and so be in practice of asking questions. That's how you take risks. Is you ask questions constantly. You will find out stuff.
And not just to other people. You're asking those questions to and of yourself too, correct?
Yeah, you're always checking out, and if you write it down, and by the way, if you can't write it down, you don't understand it.
Hmm.
So when you have a thought, like I was going to start like a discount tire store with a buddy of mine years ago.
Really?
Yeah,
I
with
didn't even know that.
oh yeah, and he took on finding out where we could have them manufactured,
Okay.
and it was going to be
How
kind of
many
like,
years ago is this?
it doesn't matter, several.
Okay.
I also uh, tried to do a driver's training video with what's the car company is always so safe, they say.
AAA?
Well, yeah, with AAA, but uh, so I knew this guy that was a producer on The Price is Right. I called him. I said, "Would you help me design this video or produce a video for kids. And I got all the way to Ford Motor Company in Detroit. And I never pulled it off, but it was a heck of a lot of fun to try.
So, Dad, you've done a lot. Like this podcast is called That Sounds Risky. And one of the reasons I enjoy taking risks, and I think that I have a higher risk tolerance than some, is because I've witnessed you being willing to do it and not caring it. Like the outcome for you was never the ultimate goal. For you, the journey of taking the risk was just as important, if not more important, than the outcome. So I've seen you do things like that. You also tell the story about what you did with Southwest Airlines.
Oh, well, our company at the time was called the Slingshot Group, which is basically headhunters for churches and nonprofits.
Yeah.
And I'm a crazy culture guy. And by the way, my new word for culture is soul. What's the soul of your organization? What's the soul of your company, of your team? And so I was on a Southwest flight, and I realized that they had a great reputation because of Herb Kelleher, who was the founder of Southwest. I've heard a lot about their culture. So I have a buddy who's a captain with Southwest Airlines, and I asked him if he could help me find who's in charge of the culture now that Herb Kelleher was not involved. Who's in charge of the culture? And he finally found this name for me. I emailed this lady at Southwest Airlines. I said, I've heard so many things about Southwest Airlines. I want to improve the culture of the soul of our company. Could I spend some time with you? And after 6 tries to her assistant, she said, okay. She said that she would meet with you. So I flew down there and interviewed her. Now, the other one that you're talking about is, which was a different trip. I wanted to produce a children's book and children's videos for Southwest Airlines because they didn't have anything for kids that I could see. So I went down there, and we happened to be there. It was on the day before Halloween, and Southwest Airlines for Halloween, you cannot believe the outfits and the costumes. So me and my buddy, we rented a spider outfit, a 2-man spider outfit, and walked in.
Like you guys were connected together?
We were connected together, walked in the marketing meeting as 2 spiders.
Oh my goodness.
And nothing ever came from it.
But in those moments, it's still worth it to you. Why?
Well, the stories are just so much better than if it did work.
It is. It's so true.
I mean, let's face it. If you're having pizza with somebody and some drinks, and you go, let me tell you about things I've done in my life that have really went well.
Right. People aren't as
next.
boring. Right.
We probably need to head on it.
Do you remember the time you took? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, you go.
I was going to say, remember the time you took me to the Hollywood Bowl to see Carla Bonoff?
Oh, yeah.
And we got in line afterwards, and I was you had just bought me my first guitar, and I was super inspired. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to ask her if she would give me lessons. Right. And if I could meet with her sometime. And we stood in that line for a while.
Yeah.
And we got up to her, and I said, I'm just wondering, got really brave. I was probably, 19, 20. I'm just wondering if I could ever meet with you and if you might be willing to give me some lessons. And she was really kind, but she kindly said, no, I won't. I was like, oh, okay. Right. And then just walked away. But I'm really glad that I asked. At least I asked.
Another good exercise about taking risk. If you're 25 or 40, 60 years old, you do a timeline of when you were a kid. It might have been an art teacher when you were in the 4th grade. But at what point did a particular person believe in you? And what did you take from that person? Your favorite teacher could be a neighbor, it could be a relative, it could be a coach, whatever. But you just, and what you will find is that the people that have impacted you the most are not people that you asked them to. They just did it. That's what mentoring's all. Mentoring is thumbprinting. It's not coaching or training. Mentoring is thumbprinting. So I've identified 12 people in my life that have mentored me, and not one of them did I ask them to. So who in your life? So if you want to mentor others, you look for chemistry with a person, not a contractual relationship.
Okay. And how did you identify that they were mentoring you? Was it just from the inspiration? It was from the information they were sharing? Was it regular meetings with them? Like, what is it that
Well,
did you ask them to?
the early ones, like Charlie Crane was my seventh grade teacher. And I mean, I got the opportunity at my mom at your grandma Annie's funeral to talk to him after
Mhm.
50 years,
Yeah.
probably. And I told him, what you did for me when I was in seventh grade has been one of the most impactful things in my life. So you may be young, you may be 18, 19, 20 years old. Who has done that? And then you just repeat that. And you look for people that you have good chemistry with, the
Mhm.
people that believe in you. But you have to be able to meet people. And the biggest risk that anybody can take is the risk of putting yourself out there and meeting somebody and having a conversation with. And 60%, 70% of the time, it never goes anywhere. But 30% of the time, it will go somewhere.
And would you say that I mean, you've had a very successful career in multiple different industries. Would you say that that was the key to so many of your opportunities, was just your willingness to step out and have conversations with people and continue? Like you said, 6 times you emailed that lady. You didn't get frustrated or discouraged. You didn't take it as she doesn't want to talk to me after the first or second time. Would you say those conversations and that grit is what got you to where you are?
Two words that should not appear in one sentence is risk and grit.
Okay. Why? Because I
Grit
probably
has
have used them together before. So
grit
tell
ha-
me why I shouldn't.
grit has the connotation of, dang it, I'm going to keep going. And everybody tells you, like at the Academy Awards or at the Grammys, people, some artists will get up there and they'll be crying. They go, just look, just put your dream out there and never give up. It can happen to any of you. It happened to me. You know, I mean, I just die when I hear those speeches. It's just not true. Uh, so you got to know when to back off. So taking risk, there's been people that I've tried to connect with, and after 2 or 3 times, maybe four, it didn't work. So I gave it. I didn't give up. I just switched. So
You
so
shifted your energy to
yeah.
something else.
So
Okay.
if you've been trying something for a long time, you probably have been trying too long.
Okay. So
As far as gaining
how do you
traction.
quantify that? Is that for you personally, is that an internal knowing? Is that hey, I'm gonna back
It,
off
it
and see what
it's
happens?
it's also a part of calling 5 people. It's like, hey, you call a couple of your friends and you go, I've been thinking about this. I've been trying it. It's not working. Maybe I should just give it up. So you got to be willing to know when to stop, and just keep trying very can be very demoralizing.
So having those trusted mentors or coaches or voices around you that can speak truth into your continued trying or continued risking.
Yep.
And then even like you were saying, like when I resonate with you in the somebody's saying, you know, you just keep trying, it can happen for you too. It can happen for some of you. It won't happen for everyone in the same way because everyone doesn't have the same skill. Everyone doesn't have the same. I talk about this. I just talked about this on a podcast a little bit ago. There is something to the likability factor. There's people that are really talented, but they just aren't kind, or they're not relational, and there's not a likability factor. If you lack that, you can keep trying over and over again, but you might be hitting that wall. So you're saying keep trying, but continue to get the input from other people as to whether or not it's time to shift to something else.
Yeah. Um, I would, the problem with people who work at home,
Which you and I both work at home. Yeah.
but I go to lunch with people or have coffee with people like 5 or 6 times a week.
Yeah.
You have to go to lunch with people that don't have lunch with somebody that's only got an hour. My sweet spot, it happened yesterday. I went to lunch with a guy yesterday here in Chicago,
Yeah.
and we had a great conversation. And it worked very well for me and very well for him, I think. And when I
Yeah.
walked back to the car, I looked at my phone. It was exactly 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to spend time with people that are willing to give you 90 minutes. Now there will be some people that only give you 10, and that's fine. In that case, you just got to have like spear jabbing questions.
Yeah.
Uh, I met a very famous pastor a few years ago at a conference. And I got back in the green room. A buddy of mine took me back there. And I had met this guy. I had never met him before, but I wanted to. And I thought, what am I going to say to this guy? I'm a huge fan of Gustavo Dudamel, the conductor of the Los Angeles Philharmonic.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, I said, I said, I'm happy to, I didn't say I'm happy to know you. That's not a good place to start, by the way. You need to get right into it. And I said, I'm a fan of Gustavo Dudamel, the conductor of the LA Philharmonic. Gustavo Dudamel, when he steps up to the podium and gets ready to conduct the orchestra, it seems that the orchestra plays better for him than any other conductor I've ever known or that I've observed. I think you're like Gustavo Dudamel. When you're with people, they seem to do better.
Hmm.
That was like a minute and a half.
What did he say?
He was taken back. And I could have followed up with him to meet with him. I still might someday. But if you only got 5 minutes or 3 minutes, practice questioning and write the questions out. I rehearsed that comment about Gustavo Dudamel to him before I ever met him. I knew I was going to get to see him that afternoon, but I knew I was going to tell him the Gustavo Dudamel analogy.
So you had thought about that ahead of time and practiced it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So you've got to have a book of great questions to ask for the people that you may not get very much time with.
I've heard you say this many, many times that the most spontaneous people are actually the most practiced. So though it looks like you're spontaneous, and which you do have that spontaneous side to you.
Yeah, the most spontaneous people are the most prepared.
Yeah.
And you can tell. I mean, like, I watched musicians do that. I've watched professors do that, pastors do that. It's like, oh my gosh, You can tell
Yeah.
if a person is uh, prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh, the reason that I can play the piano in any key
Mm-hmm.
is not because I'm so spontaneous. The reason I can is because I practiced 4 hours a day for 7 years.
Hmm.
So the only way to get better is to get at it.
Yeah.
Whether it's speaking or singing or teaching or sports or whatever. Um, and that book I mentioned, Anders Ericsson, about peak, it's what are the things that you do that you're weak in, and you go, or if you're a soccer player, you're not good with both feet, you better work on that left foot a lot. So you've got to identify the things that the vehicle that you're using in your life to move forward. What are the things about that need improvement and that you need to spend time on?
Yeah. No, that's really good. So every person on this podcast always has risks that they took in different areas of their life that impacted them and set them on a trajectory. If I was to ask you what risk that first comes to mind when you think of the one that really set you up to do what you do today, and maybe it didn't work out, or it did, either way, what risk comes to mind for you, Dad?
Preparation and practice gave me the confidence to take a risk. So when I was in college, uh, I went to 3 different colleges in one semester. I hated school. I finally found this little school that would let me be a music composition major. And that's where I practiced 4 hours a day for 7 years. When when Connie, your mom, my wife, when we got married, I had just finished 7 years of learning how to orchestrate, write string arrangements, and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of music production stuff. We decided to move to California in 1975.
Did you have a job?
I had no job,
What
but
you just
I
decided
was
that was going to be the best
the
place?
little college that I went to, I was a big duck in a tiny, tiny pool.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to go to school someplace where you're not going to have an opportunity to try.
Hmm.
The last thing you want to do, if any of you have kids that are in sports and your kids got an opportunity to be on the best team in the city and they're going to ride the bench, terrible idea.
Yeah.
Put them put them where they're going to be able to play infield and bat every time.
Yep.
And so the thing that's interesting is being a big duck in a small pond gave me confidence to go to compete with the best producers in Los Angeles. I was prepared. And they said, "Can you do this?" I go, "Well, yeah." Can you write string arrangements? Yeah. Can you do this kind of arranging? Yeah. Can you do vocal production? Yeah, I can. I said it boldly with a contrite spirit and humbleness about it, but I had prepared. And so for me and your mom to move to California with no job, I was 25 years old and she was 21.
Mm-hmm.
And her dad was a farmer, and my dad had that little furniture store in Southern Illinois. They thought, well, they were both gracious and were willing for me to try. But I got out there and I was out of work 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and I didn't slow down for 40 years out there.
Yeah. Did people, would it be true to say that people took risks on you when you got there?
Of course,
that part of what made your trajectory so great was other people's willingness to take a risk on you?
Yeah. You have to have some kind of proven record, some kind of proof that you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, they're not gonna give you a look.
Right.
But I had done a lot of arranging by the time before I got out there, and a couple of people that I knew vouched for me, said, "Yeah, you better give this guy a chance," and that's how it happened.
Well, and you've done that for so many people over the years where you've taken risks on people, obviously people that have had proven track records or people you have relationships with or things like that. But I even think of musicians and people that you took risks on and helped when they were in seasons of need. And then later, I'm thinking of George and Shannon. You want to tell that story about how you were working with them and then,
Yeah, I was in Seattle. This was 1980 and 81, and you were probably 3 or 4 years old, Sarah.
Mhm.
Nate, your brother was a year younger than you. And I decided, went up there to work for this really big church up there. And I didn't like it. I didn't like what I was doing. And so I quit after 6 months.
So you'd move your whole family somewhere
Moved
and
the whole
decided
family up
this
there.
isn't working.
And I told Connie, I said, I'm not going to do this. So I went downtown Seattle and got a job in a recording
In
studio.
those moments, let me back up for a second. In those moments, what did mom say when you'd come home and be like, I'm done?
Um, any crazy idea I've ever had, she never resisted or pulled back or tried to talk me out of it.
Wow.
I mean, there's like 12 times. And so,
Only 12? I would think there's
well, it's probably more like
12.
50.
Yeah.
But I had been recording in LA, Orange County a lot. So I had a network of great musicians. Went up there, I didn't have any. So I started producing records in Seattle and I didn't know any musicians. So I went to a bar and listened to this bass player and I go, "Hey, I'm a producer. I'm going to be doing some projects. Who's the best guitar player in Seattle?" And he told me. "And who's the best singers? Because I need some background vocalists." And he told me that George Merrill and Shannon Rubicam were the very best. And I go, "Do you have their number?" He says, "No, but my buddy probably does." I said, "Can you give me their number?" So I called him. I said, "I'm new to town and I've heard you guys are great singers and I'd like to have you come and sing on a project for me." And they came and they were amazing, very, very professional. And we did several projects together. One day, George said, "Stan, come up to my cabin up in the woods here north of Seattle, and I want to play some of the songs I've written and see what you think." And I go, "Fantastic." So I went up there and had a little old cabin that was, in Seattle, it rains most every day. And it was damp and cold. And he had a little piano out on the back porch. He said, "I'm getting ready to send this song to the publisher to see what they think, but I'd really like your opinion." So George sat down and he hit the first chord and he started like this. Boom. "I want to dance with somebody. I want to be late with somebody." I was the first person to ever hear that song outside of I heard it before before the publisher even heard it.
So cool.
But I've recently stayed in touch. I got back in touch with him, and so taking risks is I just because of technology and because of social media, the idea of getting a job and staying in it for 30 years, well, that can work for people. But even if you are in that kind of job, what can you, like if you're a seventh grade math teacher and you're going to probably teach math in seventh grade for 30 years, what can you do at year 6 or year 15 to reinvigorate it and to bring energy to it and to find new ways to do it? And the only way you'll do it is to talk to other people.
Yeah, I see that in so much of the incredible people that I get to work with too, is that they might be doing something. They might be a teacher, or they might be something that has a longer lifespan to their career than an entrepreneur or things like that. But they do want to start creating other things. I mean, obviously now being bivocational is way more common than it was when you were doing that so many years ago. And so, yeah, I would say that that's one of the things that I talk to people about too. Sometimes we get to a place, I see this with creatives and artists, whether they're working in an agency or in a church or in other places. You get there and you put all of your expectations for your desires and your creativity and stuff into that one place. And then you get disillusioned or disappointed or disgruntled because they won't let me do this. And I really want to work on this. And I'm always asking, well, why is it their responsibility to let you do all of your creative ideas? Nowadays, there's so many opportunities. You can go and work on that creative project, whether you're doing that for your 9 to 5 or not. And so, what would you say to people that are doing a 9 to 5, but have all these other ideas and energy, and are questioning that?
If you're in a real tight organization that's top to bottom, which is opposite what it should be bottom. But leaders don't like ideas.
Why do you think that is?
They've worked so hard to get where they are with what they've done that if you're on staff with them and you come and bring them an idea, it's kind of like a fly in your face. They go, I don't need any more ideas. Now, there's a process that I use called going north. It's actually a military concept where you go north on the enemy. Now, if you're in an organization and if you have a boss, person to whom you're accountable, don't underestimate hallway talk. Whenever and when you get to work, if you're working in a building and you see them in the parking lot or in the hallway, hey, Bob, hey, Mike, hey, Sally, have we ever thought about blank, blank, blank? Ideas that come from relationships, hallway talk, generally will get you more opportunities in an organization than try to find a time to gather and meet with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've experienced that so many times. The other thing is that what key leaders want, if you want to talk to them about an idea, what is it? Missouri's a show me state.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show them where it's happening. I saw this company. I did some research on it, and this is what they're doing. But to go north on somebody, rather than going right at them, you can go around and come back the other way. That's a great skill to learn.
Mm-hmm. You have worked at many great organizations. You have started your own organization. You have even transitioned out of organizations and started new ones. What would you say, as someone that's worked inside somewhere as the employee and then someone who's been an owner of the corporation, how does the risk factor shift, and what different risks do we need to be taking in different seasons?
anything that is worth risking is worth saying goodbye to. I've been involved in some great organizations. I've started a couple of my own, but the relationships with the people that we worked with will go on for the rest of my life. And the other thing you got to realize is that if you're at the beginning of risking to start something, if you just look at the timeline out 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it's going to be Stan. I started a company that I was with for 20 years. And 2 years ago, I stepped away, and I loved these people, and we were close. And now there's people in that organization that don't even, that have, it's Stan who now. It's like, don't put your life on top of an organization or a job that everything depends on that.
Yeah.
Build your life, take risks of improving your life and your integrity, your skill, your accountability, and that will work in any situation.
How do you know when it's time to take a new risk and to leave or to sell the company or to start again?
Well, one thing I've learned, whether it's a hobby or a job or do things before you need to. Like if you are thinking about, if you're in a job or a situation and you call a friend or you maybe a person to whom you're accountable at the company or at the organization, you go, well, I've decided to take a different job. I think I'm going to do this now. And you always want them to respond with kind of a grin, but with a, you're kidding, as opposed to, we understand. And so if you wait too long, the pain of leaving gets heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
But be willing to take a risk and take a leap. And sometimes it's financial risk. But knowing when to stop something or to, I believe that the only way that new thoughts can come to us are through mental impressions. You know, I'm a Christian and I believe in the Holy Spirit with all my heart. And I believe he leads me to a lot of interesting things. But if you're at a point in your life, what are you keenly interested in? And you go start looking for it and start talking to people that want to do it. That's how I have made it through my life, my career.
So find the people that are already doing what you want to do and are a few steps ahead of you, and go and hang out with them.
The two most important things that I would tell you on this podcast for the people that are listening to it. The two most important things in life to get you through life are these two things. Number one, be a reader. That can be also synonymous with a researcher. Be a reader. Now, I have quite a few books in my office at home. I've never read any of those books front to back. I buy a book, I look at the chapters, I go, that looks pretty interesting. So I'll read that one. Then I'll go back, I highlight them, go back, or the ones I'm listening to.
Yeah.
On Audible. But be a reader, be a researcher, be interested in finding what's out there. And with AI now, it makes it even quicker and more broad. It's very helpful. Be a reader. Second thing is move to where there people are who are doing what you want to do. Now, whenever I was 25 years old, that meant if I was going to be a music producer, I couldn't do it in Southern Illinois. I had to move somewhere.
Yeah.
So move to where the people are who are doing what you want to do. And the people that are successful, you seek them out and ask for a conversation with. I've done it so many times.
Yeah.
And it's not a matter of trying to find big shots, the important people. It's not that. It's a matter of, like right now, I just sent an email to the president of Corn Ferry because of a book he wrote, had the theme on it called Grace. Forget the exact title. But I sent him an email. I've not heard back from him yet. I'm a big fan of Fast Company magazine.
Mm-hmm.
Get on their email list and read their emails
Yeah,
daily.
it's very good. Yeah.
And I sent them an email 4 years ago offering to work for them for free for a month.
Have you heard back yet?
Nope.
Nope. I love it.
And I
So-
may try it again.
You should. You should. What would you say to parents whose kids are taking risks and it feels scary? Like thinking back of what your parents did, thinking about you with me and Nate and Crystal, like what would you say to parents that about their kids taking risks?
Watch them to see if they really have the ability to improve on something. We used to have a little sign on our refrigerator. You probably don't remember it, but we used to have a sign on our refrigerator. It said, if you want your kids to improve, let them hear the good things you say about them.
Yep, I do remember
in
that.
front of others, and then in parentheses, especially old people. Now you'll remember from your childhood of Carl Dupre.
Mm-hmm. He would buy us ice cream on Wednesdays at
and every Sunday, Carl had the best Dodger tickets for 40 years. He took people to the Dodger games all the time. When Nate was little, he would take Nate when Nate was in Little League, take him all the time. When we would see Carl at church on the weekends, I would say, hey, Carl, yesterday, Nate went 3 for 4. He got 2 doubles and a triple, and he had the best game. And I let Nate hear me brag about him in front of Carl or with you. If I brag, but when I brag on you, which I still do all the time, it's like in front of others. So back to your question about the kids improving or watching them, let them play. Let them be playful. I do believe if you have a child in sports, it's far better to let them experience different sports rather than play volleyball for 15 years. I think it's better to let them experience other sports as well. It kind of is a protective coating around burnout. And
yeah, most good coaches will tell you in off seasons to go play other things. I know for him, that's what they encouraged him to do. So in off seasons from hockey, he'd go play lacrosse, or he tried baseball, but he kept getting hit with the ball.
I've seen him hit a baseball, and it's not a pretty thing.
He's pretty good at it, but
he's pretty dang good at hockey, and that's
he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Dad, when we think about taking chances, there's so many people that are out there that have thought about it time and time again. They have an idea, they have a burning desire to do something. but they might have a regret that they haven't done it yet, or they just don't have the confidence like you talked about. Like, I believe confidence isn't a feeling. I believe confidence is actually a skill that comes from competence, just like you talked about. Like, you got competent at arranging through your practice, the 4 hours a day for 7 years. So you therefore became confident, right? That competence created the confidence. For you right now, with the people that are listening, that are sitting on the edge going, should I take this risk? What should I do to take that first step? What would you say to them?
If you can't put it on your calendar, it doesn't count.
Hmm.
So in other words, you go, let's just say that there's somebody listening that is working in a job they've been at for 5 years and they don't like it. They want to switch, or they may have gotten recently, they've got laid off, lost their job. So you can either sit back, complain, or you can put a strategy together. So how do you do a strategy? No matter what the topic is, the way you would do it, who's 3 people that I know that are smart people that have done well that I know that I could talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
You call them up and say, these are the things I'm interested. What kinds of opportunities you think are out there? Well, first of all, if you go to ChatGPT or Claude, you could, if you're like, I like to do this, this, and this, what kind of jobs are out there? It's going to help you.
Yeah.
Just don't ever let anybody accuse you of what they're reading about you or that you've written is AI, because it will destroy you. Um, Write something in and let AI tweak it, and then you tweak that. That's the way to do
Yes.
it. But anyway, a strategy. So you talk to 3 people and you go, well, I think I might try this or I might try that. And then you put on your calendar, a week from Wednesday, I'm meeting with this person, this person, and this person. And you put a strategy together, you put a timeline together, and you get a couple of friends with that will have coffee with you and help you strategize. Who else should I talk to? What am I not thinking about?
Yep.
And uh, I have a process called Project 110 that I use that is 3 categories: friends, acquaintances, and heroes. Who are the friends that if something happened to you that was a great, that you got a promotion or a new job or you won something, it would bring these people joy. Who do you know that like that in your life? And there may be
Mm-hmm.
3, there may be 30. Second category is acquaintances. I met you at a conference and thinking about starting this thing. Could I talk to you sometime? And the third one is heroes. Who are like me trying to get in touch with DeWitt Jones from National Geographic, which I did, and that was a wonderful experience. Or I'm trying to meet Gustavo Dudamel this year, and I have I'm 1 degree of separation from that. I think I'll be able to do that. But who are those people? And then you put a plan together to write emails to those people, and you get 2 or 3 friends and you go, okay, I'm writing this email to these 23 people, and in 3 weeks from Monday I'm going to push send. And you ask your friends to hold you accountable to get those emails ready and send them out. You just simply have to put things on your calendar and go after it.
Yeah.
Now that's a good grit, by the way.
Yeah.
That's determination. I think grit can turn into a lot of waste, but determination is really, really important, because you can use determination, even if what you've been trying doesn't work. Just re-aim your determination.
Yeah. Take that energy and put it towards the thing, the other ideas, or in a new direction. Absolutely. What is one failure? And I hate to just jump in that, but that's what that is. Like, you take risks all the time. What's one that didn't work out that you remember and still think it was worth it?
Well, when you were 3 years old and Nate was 2, we moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. Our parents were both from Illinois, and so to fly to Seattle is a lot different than flying to Southern Cal. It's a long ways up there. It's cold. It's wet. Our parents aren't as likely to come and see us.
Yeah.
We put up a kind of a curtain between us and our parents because it was so hard to get up there. And I worked at that big church and I didn't like it. We were up there 2 years, and it was among about the best 2 years that I've had. The one reason is because of the confidence it gave me when things didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
So when things are, if things aren't going well for you, somewhere in that bucket of not going well, you dig down deep in there, and there's some very positive things that are happening, and you gotta dig deep to find it. But that's one example. um, I tried to write music for movies,
Mm-hmm.
and I found this orchestrator in LA that would help me learn to do that. I practiced. I called people, uh, and I didn't get any traction to write music for movies. And actually, I don't have the acumen for technology. And if you're going to be a movie screenwriter, orchestrator, you got to have your stuff together for technology.
Yeah.
And I finally go, you know what? I should probably just build what I have that I'm getting momentum in. And that worked great for me. But I wanted to be a a movie score producer. I didn't have it. I really wanted to do it. And now when I go to a movie and I hear great music, it just tears my heart out because, man, I wish I could have done that. But hey, I got to, you know, I, when I went to college, I couldn't read music, and I was a music student. So I had to learn how to read.
Wow.
So from starting college, fast forward 7 years,
Years to be able to do that.
I was standing in front of the LA Philharmonic string section conducting music that I had written in 7 years.
That's amazing, Dan. That's really great. And that's the possibility, though we can't say, and I will say this, I don't ever remember a time you or mom ever telling me that I couldn't do something. But I think that was because you didn't have to say that because you guided me towards the things I could do.
Yeah.
Though I obviously wasn't very good at the soccer or baseball. We tried that, and I know that didn't go well. But I would say that was a rough one. But for you, the continued desire to improve, and to continue to seek what you keep coming back to, that what you're keenly interested in, doesn't stop. And what I see so much for people in different stages of their life is, they stop dreaming, they stop trying. We talked about that. They stop risking. You're in a season now where you're creating something that is encouraging people to. Do you want to talk about
Sarah,
that?
this is great. Here's if you don't feel like you're dreaming, you've got the wrong friends. You just got to get new friends.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other thing that I want to do, actually, I took your son, my grandson Lincoln, uh, his cousins, Landon and Jack. They were all 19. I took them to Waffle House on their 19th when they turned 19. And we had WH19, Waffle House 19. I think I may try to do this. I want to talk to the corporate Waffle House people, and I want to start the Waffle House Academy. What you need to do is go to a Waffle House and sit next to the cook.
Okay.
If you've got a 20-year-old, or if you're 20, the best education you can have is to be a cook at Waffle House.
Okay. Why?
It's fascinating because, first of all, that's the weirdest people in the world, which I love.
I know you do.
And, but to watch them make food for all of these people so fast, and they do it with the cooks really are proud to be a cook at Waffle House.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want to be?
So just go to Waffle House and sit next to the cook. If you're
Yeah.
having a bad day, or if right now, if you're discouraged, just go to Waffle
Just
House
go to Waffle House. That's
and
the answer.
sit next to the
I
cook.
love it.
And I promise you, you're going to walk out of there thinking life could really be great.
Okay. And what would you order? What would your favorite order at Waffle House be?
Well, the problem with Waffle House, and this is not good.
Oh my, you just talked it up and now we're talking it
No,
down again.
the problem with Waffle House is they don't have peanut.
Oh, you got to bring your own peanut butter. That's right. And
They
you
have
have.
they have peanut butter chips, which are just
Oh,
ridiculous. It's
that
awful.
is hard. Yeah, that's
And
difficult.
so, but I would order a well done burnt waffle with about a quart of syrup, and I would put my own peanut butter on it with strawberries. That could last me 3 days. I wouldn't need to eat for 3 days.
Amazing. Amazing. I love it. Dad, I want everyone here to hear a little bit about, I know one, I'm really proud of you wrote a book called Improv Leadership. If any of you want to learn more about leadership and some incredible tools, go on Amazon. You can pick that book up. I'm really proud of that. And I often use in my coaching tools that he's talks about in that book. But you're also still creating and still dreaming and still building. Do you want to tell people about what you're doing now?
I read a book 3 years ago called Wisdom at Work: The Making of a Modern Elder. It's written by Chip Conley, who is the vice president of hospitality at Airbnb. There are 11,000 people every day going into Social Security. 5 years from now, there'll be more walkers in America than baby strollers.
Wow.
And there's 105 million people over 65 in America. And the American culture is seniors in America. America's getting older at the speed of sound. It's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So I've realized that people 52 to 75, I don't know what percent, but 95% of them wallow in ambiguity about that fourth quarter of their life.
Yeah.
The research that I have done says that the most productive decade in a person's life is 60s. The 60s decade is the most productive. And everybody, America is all about youth, the music and the clothes, advertisements, social media. That group of people, 52 to 75, are being overlooked, and I'm developing a company that helps people figure out their fourth quarter.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm in my fourth career, and I'll have one more after this. And I don't know what that is yet.
I love it. And I'm so proud of that, Dad, because I think that's what continues to keep me and so many other people that know you dreaming, is because your legacy is that you're, I don't know. I think you might still be creating new stuff when you get to heaven too. But you're just continuing to dream into what's next, and you don't allow that wallowing to happen. And I see that through the community that you've created, the conversations that you have, the leaders that you've impacted. and your curiosity. I think anyone that knows you would say you are one of the most curious people, which does take time. If you're out to dinner with him or you're on a walk with him,
Well,
yeah, he's very curious. And if it's supposed to take 15 minutes, it probably will take 45, but that's okay because it continues to encourage just that dreaming. And
here's a life lesson for anybody listening. If you are in a situation that you're not satisfied, and you're thinking about moving or changing,
Mhm.
and most of you won't do this, I get it, but you should.
Yeah.
Here it is. Let's just say that I know I'm not going to be here very long. I don't like it here, blah, 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 blah. If you were with me in person, I would convince you to try this. And that is, how can you be better at the job you're in now for the next 3 months than you've ever been before?
Mm-hmm.
And people hate to deal with that. But is it the way you're not doing a good job at your particular required job? Is it a relationship problem with some of the people? Is it that you're driving too far and you get there and you're in a bad mood, or you're doing it totally online? You cannot keep from trying to do best. So if you do better in the next 3 months than you've ever done, one of two things are going to happen. Something's going to change. You're going to stay there and you're going to go, man, I'm so glad I got better, that I
Correct.
did better. If you leave, I'm so glad that when I leave, that people are going to say, the last few months, he or she has really done well.
Yeah, definitely.
But most people they're too wimpy to try that. But
Well, and you encouraged me to do that.
yeah,
I ended up staying in another position for a good amount of time and working really hard at it before I started this company. And was one of the hardest things that I've done. Was
yeah.
staying is not an easy thing. Staying, sometimes leaving is scary, but is a lot easier than even though it has.
The other thing that does, it gives you great new confidence. I'm a
Yeah.
big follower of Jordan Peterson, the
So,
psychologist.
yep.
And there was a boy at one of his gatherings. He was taking Q&A from the crowd, and 19-year-old kid raised his hand. He said, I have a question for you. And Dr. Peterson said, what is it? He said, I'm 19 years old. I have no idea what I want to do. What do you recommend I do? And he said, find something that you can get good at as soon as possible,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's DoorDash or a delivery boy or a volunteer at a school. Do something that you can get good at as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in your case with Lincoln, your now 20-year-old son, in the last 6, 8, 10 months, he's gotten very good at the food industry besides playing hockey. Because Lincoln has gotten
Oh yeah, because he's a server. Yep.
he's a great server.
He is.
And what that has done, it brought him a new kind of confidence that will transfer into the next thing. Dr. Peterson said, if you get good at something as soon as possible, it will give you the confidence that you need when the next good thing comes at you.
Absolutely. The other thing too, that Link did following in your footsteps too, is normally at his work, they don't hire servers until they're 21. And he was 18. And he kept saying, I really want to be a server. And my husband and I kept saying, ask. Well, they don't hire until they're 21. That's the rule. And we said, we know, but you have been there for almost 2 years. You've shown your track record. They know how responsible you are. Ask. And he did. And they said yes. And they trained him, and he had to go through a bunch of extra work to do that and things like that. But you've always taught your grandkids and us kids too, to ask. It doesn't hurt to raise your hand and to say, what about me? And when he did that, now a bunch of people are saying, well, hey, why Lincoln? And the people said, well, because he's worked hard and he asked. And he was willing to do the work.
Absolutely. If you're in a job where you're not making the money you would like to make, one of the most healthy and productive questions you can ask your supervisor is, I have a question for you. And then you pause for 6 seconds and you go, how can I make more money here? And they go, well, more sale, they'll tell you. But what you're doing is first of all, you're going to learn something, but you're showing an interest that you like being there and you want to be there and you want to improve and you want to develop and you want to be productive. That's a great question to ask.
It is. It is. It is a good one.
Yep.
Okay. Speaking of questions, we're almost done here. I'm going to give you a couple rapid fire questions here, and then we're going to end with one question that I ask every single person at the end. Okay.
Yep.
Ready? Okay. The biggest risk that you've ever taken that you haven't told us about already.
Learning to land an airplane when I was 17 years old.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
A book everyone should read.
Zag, Z-A-G by Marty Niemeyer.
That is a good one too. A person who's influenced your life most.
My dad.
Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to say G-Ball.
Yeah.
A habit that has shaped your success.
Being ridiculously curious.
Mm-hmm. Coffee or tea?
What's tea?
Okay, good.
Teas are like fancy coffee shops. It's
good answer, Dad.
the best coffee is Folgers.
Yep. Mountains or the beach?
The beach. I don't like mountains. They give me claustrophobia.
Pizza or hamburgers?
Hamburgers.
What's one thing you're still learning?
Grace. Grace and kindness. Yeah.
I'm going to break into the rapid fire for one other question before we get to our final one. Dad, how has faith shaped your risk taking over the years?
Well, faith in God, there's only one way to connect to it, and that's through Jesus, his son, which Jesus claims there's only way you can get to the Father is through me. So a relationship with Jesus, Holy Spirit, and God, those three are tied together, obviously. But I've learned that spirituality is amazingly simple, and if we're created in God's image, people look at spirituality like it's out there by Mars somewhere. Mm-hmm. But spirituality is a conversation you're having with somebody at coffee, or a friend that are meeting with to apologize. The Holy Spirit, I've learned that he directs my thinking and helps me with mundane, everyday situations. So it's not a matter of on Sundays going to a church and sitting in a worship service or whatever, and then next week we go back. It's literally a friend on your hip.
Yeah.
It's literally, and as you grow and experience more and more of resolution in your life because of that, your faith gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And little children, Jesus said, if you really want to know what's important to me, look at the life of a child. So being childlike, and when a kid is 5 years old, they're not looking at the negative things about a situation. All they want to do is just, like when you were little, Sarah, you actually thought that God created the universe for you, which you're on that list, but there's some other people involved as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm every day I'm into what God has to say about it, scripture, and I'm putting my faith. My faith is a big part of my risk.
Yeah. Well, it's knowing that you have that foundation, that there's nothing that you can do that's going to take you so far that you wouldn't have that foundation to come back to.
Yeah,
Right. That
yeah,
if you have it, looking at faith as almost like sometimes I like to look at it like as a trampoline. Like doesn't matter if I fall, I'm going to have something to catch me when I do, and to absorb uh, the falling or the failure or the hurt. um, God is always there to help you, no matter
yeah,
how.
yeah.
Um,
The
how.
best book on faith that I've ever read is called Ruthless Trust
Mhm.
by Brennan Manning, a
Mhm.
Catholic priest. It's incredible. So
It's a
that's
great
my
book.
favorite
Yeah.
book on faith.
Good. All right. One last question for you, Dad. What is one risk that you think everyone should take at least once in their life?
Submitting yourself to a frightening activity. Doesn't matter if it's learning how to play guitar for the first time or jumping out of an airplane or interviewing the cook at Waffle House. You have to be willing to get uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And to stay uncomfortable in what we've heard from you today, that willingness to continue to subject yourself to that over and over again creates a confidence or creates the ability to do it more, and it hurt less or feel a little less risky. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will get better at taking risks if you take risks.
Yeah. Yeah. It is that simple. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But call 3 people every day without an agenda. If you don't have people that will pick up the phone when they see your name on it, you got to have some new friends.
Yep. Yep. Relationships are so important, and we've been uh,
And it's
so
your
fortunate to see how
responsibility to
often.
make, yeah, it's your responsibility to take the initiative for that to become a part of your life. It's not going to come to you. You got to go there.
Correct. So if somebody's sitting there saying, no one calls me, no one reaches out to me, the the onus is back on them to be like, well, how many people have you called today?
Yeah, your mom, my wife Connie, often asks me, "Why do you spend so much time talking to people?"
She does say that.
I go, "Well, that's kind of where our livelihood has come from."
Not even kind of, it has.
You
And
know, look at,
she's good at talking to people too. She
oh
talks
yeah,
to people every day. So
yeah,
it's funny that she asks that. No, that's true. Well, Dad, thank you so much for being on this podcast and
you're
not
welcome.
just
I'm
for,
so proud of you, Sarah. You're killing it. And if you want your kids to improve, let them hear the good things you say about them in front of others. So I'm saying it. And by the way, nothing comes into existence that's not spoken first.
mm-hmm.
So you call up a friend and say, "I've got this idea to start a muffler shop. And I just want you to know that I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts?"
Mm-hmm.
Speak it
Yeah.
to somebody that cares about you.
Well, and that's what I did about this podcast too. And I've seen you do that so many times, right? We
Yeah.
say, hey, I have an idea. I think I'm going to do this. And then we put it, just like you said a little bit ago, you put it on the calendar and you put a strategy together
Yeah.
for it. Well,
One
I
thing,
appreciate,
the one thing that this has proven to me, Sarah, is all you podcast people, not everybody needs a microphone. And I'm very disappointed that there's no microphone here for me to talk into. It makes absolutely no difference. I've got to get a microphone just because that's what podcast people do.
you should. Maybe you should get a microphone. No, not everyone needs one. That is so true. Very, very true, Dad. You don't, everybody does not need a microphone.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful for you, not just for this podcast today, but for the example that you've been all throughout my life. You have shown me that taking risks and trusting God and continuing to dream and continuing to be curious is really what builds your relationships, and your relationships is what builds your career and also gives you the knowledge to know when to pivot. And so I am grateful to have a front row seat to your life, and the impact that you've had on all of us is great. If people want more information about what you're doing right now with this helping people in the fourth quarter, where can they go to find out more information?
They could go to our website, which is, first of all, everybody that I know is redoing their website. You've got to be doing, if you're not redoing your website, start
What are you
redoing it.
doing? Right, exactly.
But we are redoing it, but it's thegrandplan.org.
Thegrandplan.org.
Yep.
Yes, find out that thegrandplan.org. Please go check it out.
Yep.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for this episode of That Sounds Risky. If today's conversation encouraged you and you want to take a next step, you want to put that strategy towards what you have been waiting to accomplish, I want to encourage you to go to sarahemerson.com and sign up for a free coaching consultation. I can guarantee you that there is something that you can take a risk on. There is something that you can dream towards. And I know that doing it alone can be scary. And so if that is something that you're needing, go there today. I would love to help you and to have a conversation with you. And remember, the biggest risk isn't failing. It's never becoming the person that God created you to be because you weren't
Absolutely.
willing to take the step. So thanks for being here. And I hope to hear that you've taken the step. And I hope that you will join us again next time. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.